Hello everyone, I'm Terry from everydaysober.com, and I am an alcoholic. So as of today, I've finally put together 2.5 years of sobriety. That's 30 months, 918 days, 22,017 hours of continuous sobriety. I'm telling you, sobriety is awesome. I'm happy, I'm blessed to have more than what I need. I'm free to do what I want as long as I don't take a drink. So part of me keeping sober is to help others that may still be suffering from alcohol by sharing my story. So now I will share with you what it was like to be a drunk, what happened, and what it's like now. So as you listen to my story, don't listen to how your story is different. Rather listen to the similarities from my story to yours. Notice the progression of my disease. Notice how the consequences of my drinking kept escalating until I almost lost my life. I drank for a long, long time, and maybe my story can help some of you catch your disease before too much damage occurs. So I grew up in a middle-class family, in a middle-class neighborhood of a big city in the Pacific Northwest. Mom, Dad, my brother, myself, a dog, and a cat. I had a typical all-American upbringing. My dad was an electrical engineer. My mom stayed at home. There were lots of kids in my neighborhood. I was outside a lot. But really, I just wanted to stay home and watch TV. I liked to be home because I always felt uncomfortable with other kids. I had my first drink when I was 11 years old. My parents were out of town, and my brother had a party. I remember how the beer made me feel comfortable around people. I didn't really drink again too often until about high school, but if the opportunity did come up, I was all over it. I went to a large public high school, and by 11th grade, I was so far ahead in my academics that I only had to attend half days, and I could skip many classes without much problem. A local liquor store would sell one of my new best friend's beer, and we could get pot really easily. I was part of the group. I had my own entrance to my parents' house so I could sneak out or come home at any hour of the day. We had after-school kegs and parties most weekends. When I wasn't partying, my favorite pastime was to go to a park, drink beers, get stoned, toss a frisbee with a friend. When I was loaded, I could hang out with others without feeling uncomfortable. When I was 17 years old, I fell asleep at the wheel of my parents' car and I got a DWI. I destroyed a parked car, my parents' car, but that's it. I spent a day in juvenile jail, and my dad paid all of my fines. This was my first consequence for drinking. I was never disciplined for what I did. After high school came college. I decided to attend a large university in the Northwest. Of course, I joined the fraternity with the best parties. Parties there happen almost daily. We even had a beer vending machine. My first quarter grade point average was 0.9 or a D-. Once again, consequences from drinking. But eventually I did start to figure out school and slowly got my grades up to an acceptable level. But the partying never slowed. Through college, I always had a part-time job so I could pay for my partying. I mostly worked at restaurants where drugs and alcohol are pretty much normal. Up until junior year in college, I never had a girlfriend, as partying was my priority. But in junior year, I did meet a girl at the restaurant where I was running the kitchen. She ran the bar. We partied together a lot. Drugs and drinking were becoming an everyday occurrence. In my senior year, 2 people that I partied with a lot, they quit drinking and drugging for good. My dad also quit, and he started to go to AA meetings. But me, I kept on partying. Lots of alcohol and drugs. I quit college with 1 year to go and moved to California with my girlfriend. I got a job at a restaurant and continued my chefing career. I felt that I didn't drink all that much. Maybe a few beers per night, sometimes a mild bender. I was always getting promoted regularly. I had a good marriage, and I had control of my life. Wine was soon replacing beer, as a good chef needs to be able to pair wines with his food. My girlfriend and I got married. We entertained a lot. Wine was a significant part of our lives. This went on for 20 odd years. Work, wine, vacations, wine, entertaining, wine, so on and so on. I was in great shape as well. I studied martial arts, I got a black belt, I ran marathons, rode my bicycle everywhere. I love to ski the scary stuff. How could I have a drinking problem? We started to run a cooking class on Thursday nights. No charge, just food, fun, and drink. It was a lot of fun. We decided to experiment with mixed drinks during this class. And man, I love the mixed drinks. The pomegranate martinis were the best. I always wanted another one when everyone else was done. Eventually, I thought, why waste the money on pomegranate juice? So I switched to straight vodka. Now, I was able to catch the right buzz. It was great. Hangovers were starting to happen quite frequently, though. So when I didn't have to work that day, I found I could cure my hangover with a nice morning cocktail. Drinking was becoming more and more frequent. As a chef, I was often able to have drinks at work. Working on my feet, running, and full contact kickboxing were destroying my feet. I needed surgery. I was given 7 months off to heal. I didn't like the pain meds much, so I never took them. But this is a great opportunity to have drinks and smoke some pot during the day. Just a couple, then sober up before my wife comes home. Sometimes she would ask if I drank that day. I would always say no. She even told me it was okay if I did, just don't lie about it. But I still said no. Then I would wait for her to go to bed so I could have a couple more. My tolerance was going up, and I needed a lot of vodka. But she can't know, I thought. So I would pay with cash, and I'd hide it under the house, because there's no way she's going to look under the house, way too many spiders. I also carefully packed the recycler so the bottles wouldn't clink. We were still very social, but I needed a martini or two before we did any social occasion. Then I would need a couple more when we finished. But I still hid my drinks whenever possible. If we both had a cocktail before we went out, I would sneak 1 or 2 more while she went to the bathroom to get ready. She knew I was sneaking drinks. Sometimes she said something, sometimes she didn't. But I always said I didn't have drinks. I continued to lie to my wife about sneaking drinks. She even told me that she didn't care if I drank, just don't lie about it. I still lied. That's the insanity. So my wife started to fall for another man. I thought we could work out our marriage. We went to counseling, but alcohol was way more powerful. I hid my drinking, and I lied about everything more than ever. Eventually, she moved out, and then we divorced. Now I didn't have to hide my drinking. I was free to do what I want. I started drinking almost constantly. I tried to sober up enough for work, but that's about it. I would bring alcohol with me to work so I could drink some when the shakes and sickness would start to set in. Now I was drunk all the time. I still rode my bike a lot, drunk. I drove my car, drunk. My entire life revolved around being drunk and making sure no one thought I was drunk. I helped a family friend that I had known since I was 12 get out of a really bad situation. She moved in with me and she rented a room. I thought I had to hide the amount I was drinking again. No problem for me. I was a pro. I did a good enough job at work to not be called out on my drinking. I still have no idea why they never said anything to me. Work was becoming more and more difficult. I hated my job. Eventually, I just walked off my job of 23 years in the middle of my workday to never go back. I was now even freer to do what I want. All I did was drink, walk my dog, ride my bike, and when I absolutely had to, go shopping. I got a DUI. I didn't crash this time, but I was going to lose my license. Did I quit drinking? No, I just quit driving. After all, my bike was just fine. I planned on doing an organized 100-mile bike ride with some friends. It would be my first one. I trained and I was ready except for the being drunk all the time part. I started the ride sober with my friends, but my shakes were so bad I couldn't go past 5 miles. I told my friends there was a problem with my bike, so I would go back to the starting line to fix it and ride with my other friends who were going to ride the 62-mile route. went back to my car, filled a water bottle full of vodka, drank some, and did the 62-mile route. That's the insanity. My DUI finally went to court. I lost my license, except for going to the DUI classes. I had to pay a hefty fine, and my lawyer told me to go to AA meetings. I went to a doctor to quit drinking. She gave me detox meds and told me to go to AA meetings, or she would eventually see me again. Oh, how right she was. I went to AA meetings, but I never got involved. I would constantly use websites that calculated blood alcohol content so I could make sure I was sober enough for a DUI class. Because of this, I also kept track of how many drinks I had throughout the day. It worked. I got my license back. But this time, I never drove when I drank, so basically, I never drove. I knew I had to quit drinking, but I also knew I had to drink. I was no longer exercising. I was walking my dogs less and less. I was mainly just drinking, watching bad TV shows, walking to the liquor store, and passing out only to wake up and do it again. My life was quickly turning to nothing except for drinking and trying to make people think I wasn't drinking. I was so blessed. The girl that I lived with cared about me. We hiked and rode bikes together. I usually sobered up enough to be in control of myself when she was around. After some months, I was really becoming desperate to quit drinking. I didn't want help and admit my alcoholism to everyone. But finally, that's exactly what I did. My girl made many calls to my brother, to my friends, to my ex-wife, all trying to get me help. They all found me a rehab to go into. The rehab was great. I sobered up, I cleared my mind a little, I learned about alcoholism and how to stop, and I got hope. The problem was I wasn't ready to quit. After about a month out of rehab, I had one drink. Within 2 days, I was drinking a half gallon of vodka a day. I did this for about a month. I knew I had to quit, but I didn't want to pay for the rehab again, so this time I just quit cold turkey. I don't remember much of what happened then, but my girl talked to the same people as before. It was decided I had to go to the hospital. I reluctantly went, and when I got there, I was admitted, and soon I had 2 grand mal seizures. I remember fighting 5 nurses that could barely hold me down. After that, I stayed in an induced coma for 2 weeks. I almost died. They said I wasn't getting any better, but eventually I did wake up. After I woke up, I surrendered. I surrendered to the disease of alcohol. I decided I would do whatever I had to do to not drink. Called a guy from AA, and he took me to a meeting. I asked him to sponsor me and decided that no matter what he told me to do, I would do it. My girl was also supportive in every way, along with all those friends and family I had driven out of my life. I was completely open with my disease. That helped me a lot. I went to meetings every day, and I still do. I got super involved with AA. I went to church, I prayed, started to work out again. I stayed open-minded. I accepted my mistakes. I stayed out of dangerous situations. I just worked on myself and healing for the first few months. What recovering alcoholics told me to do is what I did. People in AA said to me, "It'll get better." I told them, "It's already 1,000,000 times better." But they were right. Things even got better. I still live this way. Meetings every day. I accept mistakes and fix them as soon as possible. I try always to do the next best thing. Pray, meditate, help other alcoholics along with helping anyone else. Sobriety has given me a new life. I have work that I enjoy doing. I married my girl. I'm happy. I'm not only getting physically, mentally, and spiritually fit, I know how to get better and better. I was given a wonderful life by getting sober. When I was drinking, I thought that sobering up would mean my life would become boring. I gotta tell you, truly, life is so much better. In the depth of my alcohol abuse, my life was nothing. My life revolved around alcohol. Alcohol ruled me. Now I'm free. I can go wherever I want and do whatever I want to do as long as I don't drink. I can go anywhere, even where alcohol is being served, although I really try not to make a habit of doing so. I thought my friends would pressure me to drink. They don't care if I drink or not. For me, sobriety is not just not drinking. It's having a full, happy life. And that's what I now have. I have new friends and most of my old friends. I'm involved with my family and community in a good way. AA, God, and many others have allowed me to have all this. Do I have everything I want? Of course not. Do I have everything I need? Yes. Also, I have many things I never planned on having, like the appreciation of what I have been given and a true caring for other people. Now, the only thing I must do is continue to live life in a sober, productive way. I must remember, I have a disease in me that is asleep, and it wants to wake up. I must do things on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis, to keep it asleep. Not only do I practice 12-step work in all my affairs, I do many other things to help my sobriety. I always try to do fun things. I ride my bike, I hike, I walk my dogs, I enjoy time with my wife, I surround myself with sober people and sober activities. I try to help others. If I go to possibly dangerous places, I make sure I have a game plan. When things go wrong, which they do, I try to pause and make the right decision. Sometimes my only answer is to pray, but so far doing these things has always, one day at a time for over 2.5 years now, worked. I drank alcohol for 39 years and was able to stop. I hope my story can help someone that is still suffering from alcoholism. No matter how bad it is or may seem, it can get better. Look around my website, everydaysober.com. I made this website for one reason, to help people get sober, stay sober, and have a happy and sober life. Maybe you can find something to help you start the road to sobriety. Thank you for listening, and I'm Terry, a grateful alcoholic.